care about Arab children. You are a Jew hater, defined as someone who only wants to lie and say that the Jews are genocidaires. And don't try to cancel me and say that I shouldn't be on. You're not a producer of this show. Because you are ignorant of the facts and ignorant of the history does not mean that you can cancel my voice.
In a fiery clash, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks and Rabbi Shmuley square off over the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, trading accusations and reopening old wounds. Uygur slams Israel's military campaign in Gaza as genocidal, while Bodhi fires back, branding Uygur's stance as both anti-Semitic and hypocritical, even taking aim at the Young Turks' own controversial name. Moderated by Piers Morgan, the exchange quickly devolves into personal jabs and high-stakes charges, laying bare just how deep and raw the divides remain on this issue.
People are calling for a ceasefire. Queen Rania of Jordan, Angelina Jolie, Arab leaders, and so on. I presume you would agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they've murdered enough Palestinian civilians. And even Netanyahu, in an interview with ABC News, said, now that we're on the ground, we're finally pressuring Hamas on hostages. Oh, so the 7,000 bombs you dropped were totally useless and collective punishment and your attempt to murder civilians on purpose as some sort of sick vengeance. So please stop the murders, ceasefire right now.
Rabbi Shmuley, your response?
Cenk is polling in the Democratic presidential primaries at 0%, nothing. He has a greater likelihood of being elected the new king of France. And don't interrupt me, please. And the reason is that the American people are decent. They understand that Cenk's anti-Semitism, which he has voiced on your show, repeated calling Jews genocidaires, and this is the eve of Kristallnacht, the 85th anniversary of the start of the Holocaust. He would deny the Jewish people the only dignity left to us, that we were victims of genocide, and he would say that we are the Nazis, we are the Gestapo, for simply wanting to defend ourselves against the brutality and the savagery of Hamas. Cenk, you'll have your turn. Just show some decency. If you're not going to show it to my people, show it to me and show it to the viewers of the show.
Uygur delivered a blistering critique of Israel's military operations, calling them outright genocide against the Palestinian people. He drew stark parallels to historical atrocities, even the Holocaust, to drive home the gravity of his claims. Uygur demanded an immediate ceasefire, condemning Israel's actions as a display of moral depravity and an abuse of power against a defenseless population. He stressed the devastating toll on Palestinian civilians, particularly children and other non-combatants, urging an end to the bloodshed in the name of human rights and compassion. His remarks sparked an immediate and forceful rebuttal from Rabbi Shmuley. Watch what happened next.
But who is surprised that a man? Who is surprised that a man the name of whose podcast is Young Turks, who perpetrated the Armenian genocide? The Young Turks is like calling your podcast the Young Nazis, the Young Gestapo. They killed 1.5 to 2 million Armenians between 1915 and 1918. The Armenian community has begged Cenk to change the name of his show. For the first half of his life, he was a complete Armenian genocide denier. Then he changed. Now he is a Holocaust denier because he is saying that the Jews are engaged in a genocide of the Palestinians. Now, which nation? How can there be 1.8 million Muslim Arab citizens?
Rabbi Shmuley, I'm going to go.
May I respond?
Yes.
Go ahead. More lies. Go ahead.
You know, I've spent my life debating people. Whenever someone starts using personal names and screaming like a lunatic, they're losing the debate. Let me remain factual.
You're the one who made up things.
The Palestinians were offered a state in 1936 in the Peel Commission. They rejected it. They were offered a state in 1947, the UN Partition Plan. They rejected it. They were offered a state in 1967 after Israel conquered Judea and Samaria and the West Bank. They rejected it. They were offered a state in 2000, Yasser Arafat, Ehud Barak. They rejected it. They were offered a state with Ehud Olmert, 2008. They rejected it. Israel unilaterally withdrew from Gaza in 2005, and they did not create a state. In fact, where were you, Cenk, when you say that you care about Palestinian children, when Hamas stole the highest rate of per capita international foreign aid, larger than the Marshall Plan, from Palestinian children, did not build schools for them, did not build hospitals, took all the money to buy bombs and to build a network of tunnels, which is larger than the New York subway system? Where were you then? Did you only come up now? In fact, when Bashar al-Assad killed 600,000 children, Arab children, when he gassed them with mustard gas, my organization took out full-page New York Times ads to protect them from sarin gas. Where were you then? You don't care about Arab children. You are a Jew hater, defined as someone who only wants to lie and say that the Jews are genocidaires. And don't try to cancel me and say that I shouldn't be on. You're not a producer of this show because you are ignorant of the facts and ignorant of the...
Rabbi Shmuley Bodhi responds by labeling ERS's position as anti-Semitic and rooted in a distorted view of history, accusing him of engaging in blood libel, a historically dangerous and inflammatory claim that falsely alleged Jews murdered not Jews, often fueling violence against Jewish communities. Bodhi argues that equating Israel with Nazis not only trivializes the suffering of Jews but also undermines Israel's legitimate right to self-defense. He maintains that Uygur ignores repeated historical offers for a two-state solution, noting several occasions where Palestinian leaders rejected peace deals. According to Bodhi, the hardship in Gaza stems not from Israeli policy but from Hamas, which he accuses of using Palestinian civilians as human shields, worsening their suffering and making peace efforts far more difficult.
Okay, so first of all, this guy is a full-blown bigot. He's one of the most racist people I have ever seen, does not value Palestinian lives at all. And everything he said about me is 100% untrue. I was vicious in my criticism of Bashar al-Assad. I've criticized Hamas over and over again, and I think what they did in the attack against Israel was reprehensible. But for God's sake, how long are you going to occupy these people? For me, the idea of Israelis and Palestinians or Muslims or Jews being different is absurd. Those are just stupid labels that we put on people. They're all human beings. I value the Israeli life just as much as I value the Palestinian life. We're all human. Stop using these nonsense labels
let me ask you a
kill
question.
each other. All this guy wants to do is more murder of Palestinians.
Let me ask
when are you going to let them go? Hamas is a bunch of idiots. They should take that stuff out of their charter. All it does is hurt the Palestinian cause.
I agree.
There's no call for it. It's dumb and it's immoral. But Hamas claims that they would like to do these things, and from time to time they do these attacks that are horrible and they should never do. But Israel actually kills Palestinians, actually occupies Palestine, actually denies the Palestinians a state. So there's this absurd talk of like, oh, if Hamas was super powerful, they might deny Israel its existence. Except Israel does exist. And the Palestinian state does not exist because Israel is blocking their state. So stop using, and I'm not saying it to you, Pierce, but this propaganda, hold on.
You know, Cenk, you and I
criticized Uyghur's decision to name his organization the Young Turks, pointing out its association with the Turkish nationalist movement responsible for the Armenian genocide. He argued that adopting this name was comparable to naming a group after Nazi perpetrators. Given the scale and brutality of the atrocities committed by the original Young Turks, Bodhi contended that Uyghur's refusal to change the name was hypocritical in light of Uyghur's own accusations that Israel engages in genocide. By emphasizing what he saw as a blatant disregard for historical atrocities, Bodhi aimed to undermine Uyghur's credibility and paint him as morally inconsistent, questioning his authority to speak on issues of genocide and human rights. The exchange grew increasingly heated, devolving into name-calling and personal attacks.
You and I are almost the same age, and I'm actually quite worried for how upset you get on TV. You gotta protect your health. You're just kind of losing it. Now calm down.
Because I'm upset that you keep advocating
when
for
you
the
keep
murder
on
of
saying,
civilians.
Cenk, you have
like
to
a
stop
terrorist.
yelling, you have to stop screaming, and you need to know the facts. The Palestinians were offered a state 7 times, and they rejected it 7 times. Bill Clinton told Yasser Arafat in 2000, "You have made me a failure as president because Israel was giving you 97% of Judea and Samaria and the old city of Jerusalem." And Ehud Barak even offered the Temple Mount, the holiest site in Judaism, and the Palestinians rejected it. You simply don't know the history. Read a book. In fact, read a Wikipedia article before you get on TV. Number 2, you made a very good point before, Pierce, that Winston Churchill is the greatest British statesman and hero of the 20th century. Let's remember, when Churchill was faced with a genocidal threat of the Nazis, you know what he did, which Israel would never consider doing? He laid waste to 70% of Dresden, Essen, Cologne, Berlin. He eviscerated Germany and turned it into a parking lot, murdering about 6 million German civilians. Israel has never even considered doing 1,000th of that. And FDR acquiesced to it, and he's considered our greatest president of the 20th century. And then Harry Truman dropped 2 atomic bombs on Nagasaki, Hiroshima. So and Israel has nuclear weapons, has never considered doing that. Israel opened up.
Well, they've actually. Okay, let me come. Is there any limit, you as a rabbi, of the number of children who need to be killed to get rid of Hamas here, or is there no limit?
Of course there's a limit. We mourn the death of every Arab, Muslim, Palestinian child as if a Jewish child died. They are absolutely equal before God. That's why Israel withdrew completely and utterly in 2005, something that Cenk will not even acknowledge. There isn't one Israeli soldier, there wasn't until this new invasion, because of the attack on Sderot, I went to those places, Pierce. I was there 2 weeks ago. I saw the blood caked on the walls, congealed to 3 or 4 inches. I saw the knives that were used to murder entire families. We saw the place where Thai, not Jewish, Thai farm workers who were growing pumpkins were beheaded. We saw the body of Shani Luke, and I spoke to her mother, Ricarda, who was taken naked. These are religious men in Hamas, taken naked in her underwear and her bra, her dead body, these necrophilia savages. We saw all that. How many Palestinian children need to die? God forbid, not one. All Hamas needs to do is let the civilian population go south. Stop using them as human shields. Hamas wants these Palestinian children to die. Every Palestinian child to Hamas is a bulletproof vest.
Okay, but you said
for no other reason than to humiliate Israel.
Israel did not withdraw. They control the borders of Gaza 100%, and as you can tell now, they cut off the water and power anytime they want. The Jewish people have been oppressed throughout history. My heart goes out to the Jewish people for all the pain and the suffering that they have endured through all of these years. But now Israel, unfortunately, is not the oppressed. It is the oppressor. Look at them dropping 7,000 bombs on grandmothers and children. There's an American nurse that explained on CNN yesterday about how she sees little kids with burns all across their bodies. So Hamas is terrible. Yes, I can call for their surrender. That's easy. I don't like Hamas. I think Hamas is Muslim fundamentalist. But it's an impossible standard, and you know they're not going to meet that standard. And because you want to keep killing those civilians to show them how mighty you are and what a great oppressor you are, I'm sick of it. And it's not only ruining the Palestinians and causing their deaths, but it is ruining, it is causing the moral decay of Israel.
Blood libel. This is a blood libel against the Jewish people. You may as well just say that we drink the blood of Christian children in our mouths.
It's not working.
Cenk, you are guilty of a blood libel on the eve of Kristallnacht.
Uygur brands Bodhi as a bigot indifferent to the plight of Palestinians, while Bodhi fires back by calling Uygur an ignorant Jew-hater whose rhetoric flirts with Holocaust denial. Bodhi further mocks Uygur's political relevance by pointing to his dismal polling numbers in the Democratic presidential primaries as proof of his insignificance. Uygur, in turn, accuses Bodhi of dodging the central issue Palestinian suffering while sidestepping accusations of genocide. The back and forth highlights the deeply polarized nature of their clash, with both men more intent on attacking each other's character and motives than engaging meaningfully with the actual arguments.